Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole, aka Crystal Butterfly on YouTube, and I am gonna do a little bit of a video today explaining a little bit about the book that I'm writing. I've been sharing little bits and pieces of it on YouTube and through Facebook and stuff. Little sections here and there depending if I feel I need to share them or not. And today I was going to give you a little bit of a preview of kind of the details of it and why I'm doing it. I've always felt the need to be like in service to people throughout my whole life, and I fought with that through my whole life too, you know, sharing probably more than I should. At least that's what other people thought. And I'm going to start back to ground zero. And what I'm going to share is nothing that I'm sharing for any victimhood or the need for you to feel sorry for me or anything like that, because I have already worked through this and acknowledged it and released it. And so I'm able to talk about it now. This is stuff that I have kept to myself my whole life. People that were closest to me, my friends, my exes, my family members, never knew any of this about what I'm going to write about, what I'm talking about. I've been a very secretive person my whole life, kept kind of in a shell to myself and never let anybody in. Always kept a really guarded barrier between myself and others. I've had friends that have called me their best friends, but I never could from my heart say that I was a best friend to anybody because I never felt close to anybody. And all that stems from coming back to a childhood. You know, there's so much that goes on in our childhood that we cling to as our identity and our false identity of what we think and what we know to be as part of reality and what we're programmed to think from early on. The programming that we receive as children and then through high school and how we're treated and makes us so impressionable as how we grow to be as an adult. And most of the time, we have traumatic events as a child that's out of our control. And it shapes us into the people that we think that we are and who we need to be and how we need to protect ourselves so we don't get hurt. And mine stems from really early on as a child. There's a lot of stuff earlier on that I'm still processing, but I know the biggest things that I've finally let go of and acknowledged and released was being molested as a child. That's something that was done by a close friend of the family and something that I never told anybody. And, you know, it really taught me how to be guarded and tough and put up that wall and control my emotions. So I control my emotions. I could put on that happy face for everybody to show everybody that I was awesome and okay, but then as soon as everybody go away, it's who I was. And I learned to be able to put a mask on early on when I went into high school because I was different. You know, I seen my first UFO, I think when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and one of the neighbors moved from California to Oregon to this country because she was dying of cancer and she wanted to heal herself. So I would go visit her and as a young child, probably, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old, and she was into crystals and chakras and all that kind of stuff and taught me about that early on as a child. And of course, I was super interested in anything that was not spoken of, things that were different. And so I was always excited about adventure and discovering stuff and rocks and crystals and chakras and UFOs and all that kind of stuff that nobody talked about, and I wasn't surrounded. I was in the country where my nearest neighbor child to play with was like 5 miles away, and I had to literally get on my horse and ride down to see her. So I kept to myself as a child, and so I didn't have anybody influencing me as a child. So I would just, believe in what I wanted to believe, and I had such an imaginative imagination, and not knowing that I had guardian angels and spirit guides and all these things and these angels protecting me and talking to me constantly as a child and feeding me information. So then when I got into high school, this is in the late 80s, in the country, everybody, all the girls, they had long, beautiful hair straight, and they had, the Wrangler jeans and the nice shirts tucked in, and here I come from way out in the country and gonna board out to go to high school with some stranger that I didn't even know, and I have short hair and a cut-off shirt and acid-wash jeans with holes in them. Yeah, so you can imagine how much different I was looked at by everybody. Nobody liked me. Everybody made fun of me. Everybody kind of kept me at a distance because I was different. I wasn't in the clique. And so I learned early on to be able to put on that mask for everybody, just so I could try to fit in, because I longed for that association with people, and I longed to have that friendship, all the girls, they had best friends, they'd all be, together, and then here I was by myself, like, why don't I fit in? Nobody likes me, and so I learned that early on in high school. High school wasn't very nice, and it never is for kids. It's really tough, especially if you move. I went from grade school. It was so country. It was like a 2-room schoolhouse. Grades 1st through 8th were in the same room. 1st grade would sit in front, 8th grade would sit in back. And it was an hour and a half for me to get from my house to school on the school bus. And then when I went into high school, that was another 2 hours away, so I'd board out with strangers to go to high school. No fault of anybody in my families, it was just the way it was. And then I had to stay with my sister in junior and sophomore and junior in high school with another different school. So I went from school to school to school, and then as a senior I was pulled out and went to another school that was went from a graduating class of 23, I think, to over 300. So it was like culture shock after culture shock after culture shock after culture shock. And I just learned to and I was really shy at the time, I couldn't hardly look at anybody, I was so insecure and whatnot that my own worst enemy. And because of that, my first suicide attempt was at 16. My second attempt was at 19, and then 20 and 21, and throughout my life, even up until last year, I've had suicidal attempts. Just because I just hated life. I hated everything about it. Life was just unfair. Because of the people that were so judgmental and people that weren't accepting of somebody that's a little different, and me having to dumb myself down for everybody to fit in and put a mask on. I had a mask for everybody, including my family and loved ones and friends. Everybody had a different mask, and when I go to that person's house or be around those certain people, I just put on that mask and be that person. It's just how I was my whole life, because I just tried to fit in and I just craved and I wanted to be liked, and I would do things that were out of my character for these people, and I would protect these people and I would have their backs my whole life. My friends that would associate with me, I would have their backs like nothing. I mean, I was right there fighting for them. But as soon as somebody was stabbing a knife in my back, everybody turned their back on me, and I was left with all these blades in my back. Not one person in my life ever stood up for me. And I couldn't understand why I was so giving to everybody, and nobody ever gave to me. Even all my past ex-lovers. It was all me give, and never receive. It's been like that my whole life. But I learned, too, that now that I understand things on how it is with life and how we're all a vibrational frequency, how everybody is a frequency and everybody is vibration. I understand that now, that I was creating my own life. I was manifesting my own life. I had that bondage mentality, that victim mentality, that everybody's out to get me. I would take people back once they had stabbed me in the back. I would always take them back in my life, and then they'd stab me again, and then I'd take them back again. I was just a giving person and trying to think about the best in everybody, not knowing that not everybody has the best intentions. And because I had that mentality of guarding myself and bondage and victim mentality, that was the vibrational energy that I was putting out into the universe. So I was getting back things and people and places and whatnot in my life that created more victim mentality, that created more bondage in my mind, it created more, I can't trust people, why are people doing this to me, that created more of what I didn't want, because that was the mentality in my head. I was on that hamster wheel of life that just kept giving me shit after shit after shit, and all I wanted off, and I'm such a strong person, such a strong, independent person, that I would finally say, enough, I've had enough. And I would get up and I would fight, and I would fight. And I would get out of that for just like a glimpse. I'd get out of it just for a glimpse, and you know what? I would have victory. And then the first time somebody would take that and see that victory and be jealous of me, and they'd come up and stab me in the back, it would, boom, make me pitfall again into that same hamster wheel over and over and over. And I'd spend a whole year of just boom, 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 and just trying to get out of it. And then boom, I'd be like, I've had enough. I've done. And then I'd have a few months of just like, this is who I am. Boom, I'd hit another victory, and somebody could reach up and goes, no, you can't be there. We don't like you in that awesome place. You know what? Because we're miserable, so you need to come down here with us. And I'd be like, here I am again. And I did this my whole life. I'm 47 years old. And to think back, I have never been completely happy with anybody or anything in my life since I was a child, where I was just free to just be who I was, and I didn't have anybody around me judging me on what I wore or what I talked about or what I thought about or anything. I could just speak and be and play and sing and dance and just do whatever I wanted, and it was awesome because I didn't have anybody around me judging me all the time. And that bondage mentality cared about what other people thought about me. And I just craved to be accepted by people, that I just kept myself in that mentality. And understanding that mentality keeps you trapped in that mindset and that lower vibrational energy of fear, and I covered it up with a smile on my face and faked being happy. I was trying to fake it till I make it. I was really trying. But I was surrounded by people, places, and things that were just doing nothing but, being jealous and being manipulative and narcissistic and all these things. It was just like, and of course I didn't know I was an empath. I'm a super intense empath. Oh my God. And so I didn't have any idea. So I was absorbing all of these energies and toxicities from people, and these energy vampires were just sucking the life out of me until last year, I was like a shell of a person. Like I was sick, in pain, and had tumors and multiple surgeries, and I was hurting so bad I couldn't hardly move. I couldn't stand up. I mean, it was horrible. It was literally killing myself. And if I hadn't, that's why I had to move away and get away from the people in my life that were doing this to me, because if I hadn't, I would have died. I would have died at a young age. From addictions, for trying to suppress all the depression and suicidal attempts and all that stuff, that bondage in my head. I was trying to coat it and soothe it with addictions that I had, whether it be food or alcohol or anything like that. Buying stuff and trying to like put a Band-Aid on the oozing wound that I have had for my whole life. I just would try to put a Band-Aid on it, but nothing would ever fix it. Nothing would ever fix it. And that's why I had to move. And I had to be secluded from everybody to find out who the heck I am. and why I'm here, and why I think the way I do, and why I feel the way I do, and why I'm so like adamant about helping other people. And I know now, you know, I've literally I have not physically had a job since August 1st of last year, which was my birthday. I quit taking horses to train last year in August, and I moved down to Texas. And literally, I tried to work, but God kept coming in and sucker punching me and said, you know what? You're not going to work. You're going to do your work. You're going to do your own work. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It'll probably be the hardest thing you ever did. And it was. It was. I almost gave up multiple times. Multiple times. I hit my knees and I was like, why? Why do I have to feel this pain? I'm so tired of feeling pain. It's not been easy. But through all of the pain and all the struggles and all the times that I have almost given up, I have found out who I am. And who I am is a very strong, independent woman. I am a truth seeker, and I am a truth speaker. I am now in touch with who I am, and who I am is absolutely amazing. It's not who I thought I was, and it's not what other people thought I was. I have learned just of recently who I am, and I am proud of who I am. And I feel so compelled to tell my story, to share my life, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that people didn't know about me. Because there's so many people out there that are going through the same thing that I went through. And some people I haven't reached in time that have taken their own lives. And I am nobody that is any better than anybody else. And don't ever think that, because you are all so amazing and you are all have the same potential that I do. As long as you take the time and you listen and you really go within and find your own answers. You know, there's mentors out there that can help you. I can help you. I'm still looking for mentors too. I have found a few mentors that are helping me. And the biggest thing is being able to step aside from your ego and step aside from judgmental people. People are so judgmental on your looks, your clothing, what you say, how you act, what you do. And why are they judgmental? Honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with you, because the only person that really knows you is you. Nobody knows who you are really. Nobody knew me at all. And if they knew who I was, they would never, ever say the things they've ever said about me. I am one of the most loving, most giving people that you will ever know. I would literally give my last penny, and I have, to people. When I didn't have, you know, an extra $10 to feed myself, I have paid for their stuff. I have done that my whole life and given and given and given of myself, and finally I said enough. I am filling up my own cup now. And my cup now is just runneth over. I feel so much more love and compassion for people, and learning how to get out of that bondage mindset and that victim mentality, and learning that the answer to life is love. Love heals everything. Love fixes everything. And a true person will not judge you. And if they do judge you, you have to remember, they're not judging you, they're judging themselves. Because of their own insecurities and their own belief systems and their own thoughts in their head, their own bondage mentality, their own victim mentality, their own being jealous of what you have. You can't say that because that's not what I believe in. You can't do that because that's not what I do. You can't think that because that's not what I think. And what I have learned is it doesn't matter what other people think or feel or do or say to you, as long as you know in your heart that you are true to yourself and you love yourself and you are honest and truthful and you give the best that you can. It doesn't matter what other people think or say or do. It doesn't. And anyone, you can't help people. That's what I've had to learn the hard way. You cannot help people that don't want to help themselves. I have helped so many people in my life that did not want help. All they wanted is to take and take and take and take until you are just drained and milked dry. And once you're done, they move to the next person and drain and drain and drain. Feel sorry for me, I have nothing. Give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. But they don't want to help themselves. Those people you can't help. And that's where you have to have boundaries set in your life. Boundaries set, I am here. I have love to give. I want to give love. But only if you're willing to receive it and help yourself. Because it doesn't matter how much you give. You can't help the world if they don't want to be helped. I have so much love inside of me for people. I just want to help everybody, but only the ones that want to be helped. And I'm okay with people telling me that what I am saying is not true because it's not their belief. That's fine, because that is their belief and that is okay. I'm good with that. Because I have my own beliefs. And just because my beliefs are not your beliefs doesn't make me right and you wrong and me right. It just means that we're different and we need to celebrate how different we are. Because we're all different. We're all so different and so amazing, but we are also one. We all bleed red. In the end, we're all the same. The law of one. So that is my story. And the book that I'm writing is on how I have been healing my stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the things that I have not told about myself because I was ashamed to talk about myself because I wanted to be so strong. I wanted to be that person that everybody depended on and everybody could count on. But I couldn't count on anybody because I had that mentality that I couldn't count on anybody. That the next person that I give my heart to or give my friendship to was going to rip it from me and stab me in the back, which they always did. Every single one of them, but maybe a couple. And I'm okay with that because I understand now that I created that reality. I created it. And I don't care if you don't think that you don't create your reality, but you do. The energy that you put out is the energy you get back in. You want to be in bondage and that victim mentality of why is my life happening to me? Why does this stuff always happen to me? Why does my life suck? Just by saying that, you're creating more things to make your life suck and more hardships in your life. It is so hard to change your mindset. I know, because it's taken me a long time to figure that one out. It's hard, especially when you've been in that mentality and that bondage mentality for your whole life. It's hard, yes. It's tough, yes. Has it kicked my butt? Yes. Have I got up? Hell yes. Is it getting better? Yes, very much so. I have my days, just like anybody. But you know what? When those things come up, those fears and those things, I release them with love. I acknowledge it, I feel it, I shed the tears for it, and I release it with love. And say thank you, but you don't serve me anymore. You're not welcome here anymore, because all I have room for in myself is love. It feels good to talk about it. And it's good to talk about your feelings and how you feel. And even if you just journal it and don't tell anybody, it's good to get it out. Because that's what makes us sick, is keeping those emotions suppressed and keeping those feelings suppressed. Why do you think there's so much sickness and death and deterioration of ourselves? Because it's our bondage mindset. Our mind is so powerful. Oh my God, it's so powerful. If you think yourself healthy, you will get healthy. If you think yourself sick, you will get sick. I've known people that have smoked and drank and died in their late 90s of old age that have been healthy because they've been so happy. I've known people that are healthy, that have never smoked, never drank, that die in their 40s of a heart attack because they have that mentality, that bondage mentality. They've made themselves sick. You are way more powerful than you even think that you are capable of. And Jesus talked about that in the Bible. That's what he tried to preach. He tried to tell everybody, I am no different than you. You all have the same power as I do. God is everywhere. You don't have to go to a church to find God. You can lift a stone and find me. God is everywhere. God is in everything. Whether you like it or not, I fought it for a long time. Because I didn't understand. I thought the Bible was the God's honest truth, and that's the way it was. And there was things in the Bible that contradicted what I was thinking as a child. That priests and ministers could not answer. They just shunned me away because they didn't have the answers to what I was asking. So I never really got religious at all. And I wasn't atheist, but I didn't believe exactly not everything that was in the Bible because I knew there was things that were missing. And going within and finding the answers and being able to open myself up to God and angels and allowing these answers to come to me and doing my own research, I have found out there's way more out there than we can even imagine. Talk about bending your mind to a pretzel. Oh. Just when you think you know a lot of stuff, you have not a clue about what is out there. Not a clue. But it all has to do with love. We're all creations of God. We're all creations of the divine source. It doesn't matter if you are a different color, race, religion, if you're gay, transsexual, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the Christians don't like gay people or anything of a different like that. That's not love. That's duality. God didn't create duality. People did. People created division and duality for a reason and for a purpose, and it is your time to try to figure that out. Don't expect to be spoon-fed every little breadcrumb. Go within and find your answers, and when you do, you might be surprised in what you find. God is in everything and everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. You are love. Anyway, I hope this reaches a few people that maybe might need this story. If you're in a slump and you can't get out, there are people like you. There are so hundreds, thousands, millions of people, billions of people just like me and just like you that are in that mindset and that programming. And it's time to wake up and get out of that and live the life of your dreams. Be happy every day. Find that peace and that joy and that spark that just makes you want to just come alive. Feel it, love it, own it. It's yours if you want it. Bye. Love you guys.